Hello and welcome. It's me, Persita, and this is Persita's Paradox. Here we are. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate you, your time, and effort to find the channel. If you are new, thank you so much for taking the time. I greatly appreciate you. And if you are an OG, you know the rules. Thank you so much for always tuning in week after week. So today, what better thing to talk about than communication? I say that because communication has gotten so bad between everybody, right? From the work environment to the home environment, friends, family, everybody is in their feelings, child, about how we communicate and the way that we communicate. I know me, just being honest, I am absolutely an over communicator, right? I'm a planner. I want to make sure everything is on the up and ups. I prefer to talk to you over texting. I prefer to interact with you more on a personal level, more so than emailing. I prefer conference calls more so than Zoom. It's just something about really understanding the idea of inflections. Well, I guess Zoom doesn't really warrant that, but it's kind of cold due to the fact that most people really don't put their cameras on because they don't really want you seeing them, and everyone's grown comfortable to sit behind this identity of nothingness is what I like to call it. No one really wants the personal interaction. Everyone wants the ability to literally tune you out whenever the freaking frat they want to. So communication to me has just grown to be really piss poor, to be blunt. It's just not something that we want to talk about. It's not something that we want to address. It's like everyone's doing what they want to do, and the most effort you want to put in is the most minimal effort possible. No one's really looking at what you are saying, right? It's really more of what you think you said. So many people get text messages, including myself, and you don't even reply. You read the message. You thought you replied, but you have literally not done it. The message is either sitting in your phone, or you're sitting back thinking about what you're going to say to the person, or you just outright forget. What I want to talk about today is what can we do to really make that better? And what does it say about us as individuals when it comes to the way that we communicate? So again, what can we do to make those things better? And what does it say about us in the way that we respond and communicate? Now, I know for me, my God, if you actually put my character up against the way that I communicate via the phone, the smart device that they've given us, I'm a little over the top, because if you reply to me, right? No, I'm gonna go back. If you send me a message and I reply to you with a question, and it takes you 6 years to reply back to me, I got a whole attitude. I got a whole attitude because I do not understand why it would take you 50,000 years to reply back to a message that we literally are already engaged in. And you clearly would know that I'm going to ask you a question back based on what you submitted to me. My God, if you ever want to push all my buttons, that is the person who literally does not reply. And that happens a lot. I'm not one of those people. So I don't really know how to communicate in that sense without being completely irritated. So then when you finally do reply, I got attitude. And then I might not reply. So then it's this ongoing circus of everybody's in their feelings about the way that you replied. And see, I'm one of those people that then I don't have to worry about that if I pick up the phone and I call you directly and it's like, hey, what's going on? Here's the question. We've solidified it and we're moving on and it's over. But it's something about the text messaging that drives me crazy. Well, that being one facet of text messaging off the dome, when you just take forever. Now, I don't know. Maybe if you're one of those people that can really explain to me, how is it that you just stop replying when you're in the middle of a conversation? Because see, I'm one of those people that also says don't start a conversation unless you can finish it. But I know so many people who have a thought and they send out a text message because they want to get the thought out. And then you're then literally trying to communicate back, and you may need them to answer something and they take forever for you to do it. Now I forgot completely about what I was trying to say, how I was going to say it. Now it might, again, take me forever to reply. So I'm just not understanding what we can do to make that better. What has it said about our society that people just don't want to phone you? They would prefer for you not to give them a phone call. Now, don't get me wrong. I am also a person who can understand if you're in a circumstance or a situation at work or at home or whatever, and you want to say something, but you don't really necessarily want to hold a full-fledged conversation. My text messages actually sound like that. I actually say in my message, hey, quick question, no need to call, ba, 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 ba. But for the people out there, especially my friends who are watching this video, when you know that you literally need to pick up the phone to communicate because it's going to be more than just a quick banter of a question answer, and you don't, y'all drive me crazy. You know you drive me crazy because I've told you over and over again, you drive me crazy. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that feels this way. Because again, you're asking the type of question that does not warrant me to be able to just text it back to you. And you then don't want to pick up the phone because you really don't want to get engaged in a conversation, or you sneaking sending the message over, right? Because you're supposed to be actually paying attention to something else, be it your child or work or a Zoom call or conference. So there's all of those entities that go along with it that makes it kind of piss poor. My question still remains, what can we do to make it better? How can we get to a stage where we understand people's time is still money? When you're bored, you're bored. But again, because I'm such a clear communicator, I'm literally going to text that. I'm literally going to say that in a message. I'm bored. This is what I want to talk about. Do you have any time? We literally intrude. I'm going to say it that way. We literally intrude. We're so intrusive. I know people who literally phone people and they'll only phone them by FaceTime. I mean, like, how intrusive is that? So you're telling me that the only way that you want to talk to me is if you can actually see me in the middle of whatever it is you're doing. I always want to say, like, what kind of life are you living that even makes sense? There's so many things that we could fall behind the phone back in the day. And I'm saying back in the day because I am old enough to say back in the day, because I was in the era where phones moved from the rotary to the push button. Right? We don't even have house phones now. The average person doesn't even have a landline phone. Everything is via cell phone. So let me preface this by saying I'm from the era that when you phone someone, even if you were doing stuff you didn't need to do and you answered the phone, you could get quickly in and out of the phone call and know that you could get in and out. But when you're FaceTiming someone, when you are literally telling me that you're calling me and you're not asking me, am I available for FaceTime to call? You just blatantly start the conversation off with the FaceTime. I don't know about y'all, but I'm never going to answer that call. I don't care if I'm sitting at home scratching my butt cheeks. There's nothing about me that wants to be that available, or nothing about me that wants to feel that intrusive to someone or wants to be intruded upon by someone. So I still don't know. And I guess today is just a ramble because I really want to figure out, like, what is it that we don't understand about communicating, that we don't even take the time to think about the type of person that we're communicating to anymore. You used to have to think about that. Now, I will say that once pagers started coming into the world 30 years ago, and you could primarily just send over a phone number back in the day. I mean, if you're under 35, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But paging was where this whole, technology started in regards to, you couldn't actually hold a conversation, but you could text your phone number through a beeper system that would then beep someone, and that person would then call you back. And then we moved to the sidekick, and we thought we were doing something, because not the Nextel, I can't remember what company this was, but you could actually type using the keyboard, like the first generation of text messaging. That was when we really started to get a little crazy. But see, back then it was a status symbol. If you were able to have that kind of device, then you were like a baller, right? Now that everybody and their granny, including 2-year-olds, have cell phones, and these cell phones then have this ability, it's just out of hand. And people just abuse the system. So I'm trying to figure out, is it really necessary for us to feel as if we should be able to text people whenever we want and be offended, like myself, because I am half the time when people are texting me and not replying, and I then have the expectation for you to reply swiftly? Or should I just be the one to sit back and relax? Let me know in the comments, because this is something that bothers me daily. Because when people send me messages and don't reply, I'm offended. When they literally send me just emojis, which I don't really understand because that's a whole nother language, drives me crazy because some of that stuff just does not correlate to what you're telling me it correlates. And in the exact same breath, am I just old? Am I just the person that, falls into that generation that is just not needing to really utilize technology in this form? I don't know. I know that it's very comical for me to think about the ways that we don't communicate. It's very comical in regards to all of these different facets on how we can communicate via text or phone or email. We still have the most emotionally disconnected generation I've ever seen, meaning with all of those accesses, people still don't say what they mean and they still don't say how they feel. That blows me because I don't understand why our communication with all of these different forms to communicate is so bad. Because if you catch what I'm trying to say, we still, after all of this, don't really say what it is that we mean. We still are talking in some sense of code to try to hide behind our actual emotions, even with all the proper devices or improper devices, in my case, that we have. How can we do better? I don't know about you, but for me, my answer to that is that I can be as clear as possible. Instead of trying to ask a question for a question, I can be direct in what my intentions are. Instead of being in a position of just dropping something over on somebody's lap without really asking if they have room or time to really deal with whatever my issue is, I can then propose that. Instead of putting the expectations on people that I feel like I could actually communicate what I'm expecting from them before I even get offended. I say this because in the laughter of what I'm trying to say and all of the complaining I'm doing, I still am very clear that we don't take the time to actually individualize our communication with the individual. We simply communicate and we say it like drop it as you may, because whatever we're thinking, we think that you think. That's really why I guess I'm saying the text messaging becomes so complicated to me, because you can't hear the tone. And because you can't hear the tone, a lot of the words that you might type will come off harsh, or they'll come off belittling, or they'll come off disrespectful. And that plays a big role in how people then respond. That's me telling you I'm offended if I'm asking a question and you just were by your phone. I know that because you just text me and then it takes you 16 years to reply back. Again, that might just be me. Maybe nobody else that's watching this video can relate to that. And if so be it, so be it. But I would say that I'm still clear on the way that I want to communicate. And here's what I don't do. I don't then wait for the person to reply, have an attitude, and say nothing. I'll actually say, well, what was going on? Why did it take you so long to reply? Some people think that makes me a little crazy and like, girl, I was just kind of busy. And I'm always the person that will have a proponent of saying, let's just communicate when you have time to actually reply back and say something to me, unless you're telling me in the message, I'll get back to you later on, Because again, communication for me is everything. I even have friends, on a total side note, who get offended when I'm offended that they're not communicating. And I have seen this meme and this conversation about, what were they called? What kind of friend was that? A low maintenance friend. And I guess it was identifying a low maintenance friend as the type of person that they could talk, whenever they talk and pick up whenever they pick up and everything remains the same. I don't have any friends like that, because if you're important to me, I kind of want to talk to you. If you're important to me, then I'm actually making time for you. I understand the significance and I understand the connotation behind it, but I don't really consider that a low maintenance friend. I consider that a person whose last communication with you was clear enough for them to understand that you have things that are going to be happening and you won't be able to talk to them as frequent. But I behoove to tell you that if you really start talking to me and then you kind of go ghost and then I'm just supposed to be like, okay with that, I'm not that type of a person. I know plenty of people who claim they are via their Instagram memes or whatever, but I don't know anyone who wants to feel as if you just aren't making time for them. Time is everything. The same way I feel like communication is everything. Therefore, it is crucially important to be clear when you need time to do whatever you're doing. Now, if you say, hey, Priscilla, girl, I'm going to be on this project for the next 4 or 5 months, so I'll definitely get back to you when I'm free. But, I just wanted to let you know what's going on. Yeah, that works for me, because I don't want to be worried about you. I don't want to be feeling like I need a welfare check on you. I don't want to feel like you fell off the face of the earth, because you're important to me. Now, if you're not important to me, so be it. Drop it like it's hot wherever you want. Call it low maintenance, disappear, do all of that stuff. But again, for me, communication is everything. Therefore, even in that disappearance, it's key for me, if you call yourself close to me, I'm only speaking for myself, that you communicate all of your intentions. Period, point blank. Now, again, I don't know if that's a societal thing. I would literally say that people in society have been saying that doesn't matter to them. But I also think that those are the same people that are struggling with what we consider mental health, because that abandonment that you feel, that disconnect of being alone, is where I think everyone is falling susceptible to that pain. That's not necessary. And it's not necessary because if we're then really holding each other accountable in the sense of loving and communicating with one another, it makes it very complicated to create chaos within your head of something else, and for the negative thoughts to manipulate your mindset. So I could go on and on and on about this, but I just want to ask you again, what are you doing with your communication? What does it say about you? How does it move? How does it work? How are you really making sure that the people around you know that they're important to you? What can you do to make it better? Plenty of questions that we can ask ourselves. A few of them you'll see pop up on the screen. But for the most part, I really want you to think about what it is you're trying to convey. What type of a person do you want to be to others? And what do you expect from others in regards to communication? So as always, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you allowing me to vent about my issues with communication, with the way it is in society today. And I thank you for your time as always. Remember to do 3 things no matter what. Live life authentic. We're going to pick this back up. I'm sure we are. But in the interim, make sure that you have a wonderful, wonderful day and that you continue to live your life to the fullest. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.